Hey, yo, what it is and what's good, Joe? Welcome back to 280 Plus, the social media podcast where I take the conversations off the timeline and go beyond the tweets, the posts, whatever you want to call it. I'm your host, Low Steph, and I'm back here for episode 197 of the platform, 197. So if you're brand new to the channel, I would appreciate if you could hit that bell for notification, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. If you want to be a part of the conversation, leave a comment below. And if you know anybody that's interested in what we're talking about today, then I'd like you to hit that share button. So we got a pretty good episode today. And where we're gonna be reacting to some things that have kind of gone viral, some things that just things that have kind of caught my attention, just random things that happen on Instagram. We're gonna give you a little bit of an update on the NBA Finals and kind of where we stand right now after 5 games. We don't have any recaps today. This week. What else? So in terms of like things directing the things that are viral, Game went on the internet to say some stuff about dating and not to be ready for dating unless you got a certain level of bread or whatever, or at least that's what he's talking about. So we're gonna get into that. I did want to run through Complex's top 50 NYC rappers of all time, right? So that's an interesting list, and I kind of see where they kind of going with it, but we're gonna definitely critique it and dig into like where they could have made some fixes and where they could have adjusted some things. What else we got? The Game. Oh, we want to react to the interaction between Wale and Kai Cenat, right? So just to kind of see where we at with it. And maybe we're going to shoot Kai Cenat some bail. And, unfortunately, Wale, he at one point in time, he is one of my favorite rappers ever, you know what I mean? But he definitely was that was like my guy. And, we haven't heard from Wale in a while, and it's just unfortunate that this is the kind of the tone that we're hearing from him. And this kind of speaks to some patterns and some things that he's just been been associated with for a while. So we're going to get into that. Yes, we're going to react to something that Glorilla, an opinion that she kind of sways with. And we're going to dig into that, see where that lies. Robin Thicke, right? That blue-eyed soul white boy, man. Yeah, I mean, he got into some trouble, man. Again, he facing another lawsuit, but this time, this is just an interesting conversation on terms of copyrights and who owns what, and understanding that your likeness is not always yours. You know what I'm saying? Your likeness is not always yours, and ain't that kind of crazy? And then we got an update from the Diddy trial, and just to kind of get into something, and because I know a lot of us were reaching a point in the Diddy trial where he is, the defense is now getting to speak and present their witnesses. Sources say that he's not going to probably testify, and it's probably in his best interest. But there was something that came out recently in the trial that's kind of interesting, and this is what could probably lead to the Rico stuff, or this might be that dark criminal link there. And then we're going to just talk about a couple of different transactions that have happened in the world of sports. One major trade in basketball that kind of has us scratching our heads. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about my Packers and somebody that we had to, send by the wayside, all right, and how I feel about that. So that's what we'll end with. We'll end with the sports stuff, NBA Finals and all that, and we'll get into all this other stuff to begin the episode. But where we at? So this week, since our last episode, Father's Day has passed. And first, I know it is past Father's Day, but I want to shout out to all the amazing fathers, everybody that has a presence in their child's life, everybody that's making a difference, every father that is trying their best, despite any obstacles, all the fathers that's not letting the obstacles get in their way and doing what they got to do. I mean, when it comes to fatherhood. So I'm gonna talk about that a little bit to start. So this past Father's Day, it was a pretty good Father's Day, man. I got some good gifts. And Father's Day, it's one of those days where you don't, as a dad, you try not to expect too much, because most of us dads, we don't ask for much. You know what I mean? We want some peace, quiet. We want some maybe alone time to ourselves, at least me, Um, we want the space to be able to kind of be us at the same, and speak our mind without being chastised a little bit. But um, I had got so yeah, I had a really good Father's Day, and I was actually told that I could probably teach a master class in being a father, and I never really thought about that. And um, just another thing, just in general, like how what the world perceives as a good father. Um, I don't really think it's that hard. I don't think it's that hard to be a good dad. My brother even called me. I haven't talked to my brother in a couple months, man. He moved to Maine, of all places. This man moved to Maine, right? And he gave me a call on Father's Day. We had a good little talk, man. Like I said, first time I talked to him in a while. We probably talked for like 15, 20 minutes, but it was a good conversation, and he just was praising me, man. He just said, "Yo, you one of the best to ever do it. You the GOAT, man. You're always there." And like I said before, one of the things when it comes to being a father, the biggest thing I think is presence, right? So what did I put here? Okay. So I am flattered. I am flattered. And I do appreciate all those good comments. Just anybody for anybody that was hitting me up, telling me Happy Father's Day. Um, But like I said, I don't think it's that hard to be a good father. You know what I mean? I think a lot of times the way we are fathers and like what we know as fatherhood, it definitely is shaped by our fathers. And you can go one of two ways. You can go three ways. You can kind of keep the status quo and be the same dad that your dad was, right? You can be worse than your dad. That's unfortunate. Or you can exceed expectations. So for me, right, like at the very least, the bar is like to be like my dad, right, in terms of how he was a father. And that has definitely had a major impact on my life. And hold on one second, real quick here. But yeah, my upbringing definitely had an impact on how I view fatherhood. And my parents, they separated when I was in elementary school. And my dad was adamant about me, living with him and him being in my life. And I always had my dad in my life, despite times when my parents were separated and my dad didn't necessarily live in the house. Like that, I had regular time where I was with my dad, and my dad, man, in many ways was my hero, man. But like we definitely approach fatherhood a bit differently and how we approach things. But yeah, I think my upbringing had a lot to do with it. And since my dad was, he set that bar of like, yo, you fight for your kids and you make sure that you're in your kid's life. And so I just wanted to at least be at the very least do that. Like I always wanted to do that. And I actually had a situation where, so like my son is 11 years old, but and some people know this about me. I don't talk about it a lot because it's a sore subject. I'm not as affected by it these days, but it is something that my son is like sometimes a reminder of this situation. But I kind of have a little bit of a head start as a dad. So prior to my son, I was I I was a father figure to a little boy, and this boy actually thought that he was my son. I was led to believe that this little boy was my son, and I was his dad. He has my last name, and everything. Well, at least he did at one point in time. I think he got adopted by his stepdad, and whatever. I think his last name was changed. Either way, yeah, man, I raised this boy up until he was 4 years old, and then I found out that I was not his father. And then, it was like having my son, and the situation was totally different. Like that, my son was straight out of love versus like me assuming the role because I just thought like I fucked up and I needed to like assume my responsibilities, and so that's what I was doing. And for me, I guess in terms of being present for your kid, it's about a lot of it is about sacrifice, and a lot of it is putting other things aside because you have another life that you have to worry about. And I don't know what it is, but I think studies show that like just in general, this generation millennial dads are a lot more active. There's studies that show that black dads are more active. I know there's a lot of people that don't like some of those statistics and they don't feel like it measures a lot, but I do feel like in general dads are more present and they are definitely more active than they ever been maybe before. I think we know a lot of the bad things that dads did back in the day, and we didn't want to emulate that. But for me, so I was 21 years old and I was like being a father figure, and but I still worked. I was in college, going to school, and I made it work. I made this arrangement work, and I think it was definitely beneficial. It was definitely a life learning lesson, but it was just this idea of like, yo, you have to put the fun stuff aside, and like you have to make life fun on the terms of your kid. Like you have to just change your mindset, and I don't understand when I might have just female friends in general, or just women that I know, and they talk about, yeah, but I wish his father was in the picture, or I wish her father was in the picture, but they barely see their kid. And a lot of times women talk about men making all these excuses. And I know some dads, like peers of mine, that like not always not were they weren't always great dads. And a lot of it, yeah, it just seemed like guys just kind of living fast, or kind of a little bit is about maturity. But then I always wonder, like, is it because like they didn't have fathers? Now the friends that I have that are very very active fathers, most of them had a dad in their life. um Now again, I came from like a broken home, so like it's almost in many ways statistically it's probably a miracle that my dad was still a big presence in my life. But like that's just the bare minimum, man. You gotta, and of course, as a dad, I want my son to do all these great things. I want him to be an amazing athlete. I want him to be the smartest kid. I want him to be, he plays an instrument. I want him to be the best musically gifted kid. And some of those things may or may not come to fruition, but at the very least, I just want to always make sure that I was supportive of my son. I always want to make sure that my son can talk to me about things that he's struggling with. And then along the way, it's those lessons, it's those things that you were taught, it's those things that that you weren't taught, that like, hey, I got to put my son D to this. So like when I think about like even my journey going through school, going to college, I'm the first in my family. I'm the first man. I'm the first male to get a college degree. So I had no blueprint. I had nobody guiding me, but like me having that experience, I can now help my son get to where he needs to go. So yeah, so I'm looking forward to these next several years. My son's just starting middle school, so this is a big important time, and it's about to get to the nitty gritty. He's about to slowly start leaving the nest. I mean, he's gonna start hanging with his peers more. He's gonna need some responsibility, and hopefully I instill those things in him, that he's a good kid. He turns into a good man, and then hopefully then he's a good father. But yeah, man, I'll be interested in teaching a little master class. I had to come up with some things, but a lot of it, man, when it comes to young dads, it's just, I think a lot of young dads feel like they just feel either they don't have to do those things because, like I said, maybe they didn't have a father in their life that was doing all the diaper changing and putting them to bed and reading them story, stuff like that. Just the daily upkeep. Maybe they don't know what that looks like. But it's about taking ownership and just being present, man. Just being, and there are men that say that women are keeping the kid from them and things like that. You got to ignore that type of talk, man. And you kind of got to, strong arm your way into your kid's life. And, you know, if it goes the legal route, a judge is going to respect you more if you actively, like I said, strong arming your way into fatherhood. And I ain't talking about just taking kids away from women and nothing like that. I'm not talking about that. But just like being a constant presence and like kind of pushing the envelope. There's a lot of guys that like they get a little bit of resistance and then they just be like, well, all right, and because they know it's a big responsibility and they're not ready for that responsibility. But that's why, man, even just being like stepdad and stuff like that, like I just never, even that, I never wanted to be nobody's stepdad or nothing because like I just feel like I got all this energy and all this time and all this resources that I need to give to my son or whatever future kids I have that I just wouldn't feel right being around somebody else's child and not my child. And that's what we see a lot of times. We'll see a guy that's not a presence in their kid's life, but then they dating a single mom, and then they all in these kids' faces, and it's like that makes no sense to me because it's like, yo, you gotta. It don't matter if you don't get along with that woman. It don't matter if you regret that decision. You still have there's a since there was a kid that was born, whether you want it or not. I mean, you got to do what you got to do. You know what I'm saying? So that's all I gotta say about Father's Day. But shout out to all the fathers. Like I said, I know we passed due with that, but it was an early Father's Day this year. It happened? It's always the third Sunday of June, but like it fell on the 15th, which is like the first third week. You know what I mean? So yeah, it was good, but yeah, man, shout out to everybody that's doing their thing as a father though. But let's what do you think, man? Leave a comment below, man. Like share if you have anything to share about your any good father moments, man. Leave a comment below, and just or even just chime in. What is some advice that you can give to fathers out there, new fathers or even fathers that have been doing it? What's some insights that you learned, some wisdom that you got that we can kind of share to the audience? So, but leave a comment below if you're interested, and we'll get into that. So, let's keep it moving though. Let's keep the topics moving. All right, I don't know if y'all seen this, but Complex is like now they it's summertime, so there ain't much to report on in terms of rap. So what they're doing is they're dropping all these different lists, and one of the lists I wanted to come across was I wanted to talk about was the top New York rappers of all time according to Complex. So it's a top 50, and we're not gonna break down every name on here, but we definitely gonna go through the top 10. And I kind of get the narrative and kind of where they're going with some of this, and then we'll kind of sprinkle some names in there. We might actually say all the names at least at one point, but then there definitely has to be some rearranging of some pieces here, and some people that I just don't think belong where they need to be. So let's yeah, let's take a look here. I gotta. All right, so here we go. So let's go to the top 10. So top 10 New York rappers of all time. So they got number one is Jay-Z, number two is Biggie, number three is Nas, number four is Rakim, number five is LL Cool J, number six is 50 Cent, number seven is Nicki Minaj, number eight is DMX, number nine is Busta Rhymes, and number 10 is KRS-One. And if I had to guess, the narrative, like how they come up with that top 10, this definitely, music is definitely involved, but I think this is impact. I think a lot of this is impact. I think a lot of this is what these rappers have done, maybe outside of rap. And I think like, putting Biggie at two, I actually don't mind Biggie kind of sliding back because Biggie, although he has had a cultural iconic impact in terms of we still talk about him to this day, but like when we really keep it a buck, like body of work matters, and Biggie has one of the smallest bodies of work out there. So like even if we slid him back, I think people can only recognize Jay-Z as being better than Biggie. They don't want to give Nas that credit, but it's neither here nor there. But like obviously Jay-Z, he got the catalog. He had probably the best, maybe the best catalog of hip hop music ever. And then we know what he's done outside of rap music, and he's made rap into this bigger thing. Obviously, we know he gets some criticism for certain things. Everybody wants him to put everybody on. It don't work like that, and I'm cool with it. So, but yeah, Jay Z makes sense at one. Biggie, I can respect it, but again, body of work makes him fall back. Nas has always been consistent and always in people's top five, top three in general, and then let alone definitely NYC. Rakim, I think Rakim is number four because of his lyricism and like he definitely like changed the game. And then he definitely had a lot of commercial success when he was around, but like he just had that like he brought lyricism, like and what we know is lyricism, the punchlines, the way people rap, that cadence. He brought that to hip hop. LL Cool J, the first rap superstar, definitely. You know, when you look at his discography, though, like there's not that there's a few songs that really have aged well, but then you definitely recognize that he's of a different era. But then also he's done so much stuff outside of rap. 50 Cent. Now, I don't know if 50 Cent necessarily belongs this high, but again, I think from a list from Complex, we talking about a lot more things than just rap. So he's another guy that doesn't have the biggest. He has a decent body of work, but in terms of like what we know and respect and love, it's a very small sample size. Like people really view 50 as having like a 5 year run, and then that's it. But like he's done so much outside of rap. We talking about all the different endorsements. He's had sneakers. Jay-Z has had sneakers. He's had, the vitamin water deal. We talking about now the Power Universe. Like that is all hip hop. You know what I'm saying? That's all so I respect it. Nicki Minaj, the greatest female rapper of all time, for real, biggest female rapper of all time. DMX, icon, I respect it. Busta Rhymes, again, a lot of commercial success, a lot of commercial success. Now, lyricism, I don't know, man. Like we know that Busta can rap, but like, yo, me and one of my homies was listening to some Busta Rhymes like one time. Because somebody had said this, like, yo, like what do Busta really be saying? Like he raps words, but like he don't got no punchlines in a lot of his raps, and like he ain't really spitting. He got a nasty flow. He got super charisma, very animated, some of the best videos ever made, you know what I'm saying? And definitely he had a run late 90s into the early 2000s that was impeccable. So I respect that. And then Karis one, iconic, another one like in terms of lyricism, you consider battle rapping and part of that diss tracks and stuff like that. Like he is definitely the pioneer. So I get why he's at 10, you know what I mean? But some people might feel like Nicki might not be better a lyricist than him, but like that's good. Keep him at 10. 11 through let's go 11 through 25, and this is where it gets a little shaky, but I like some of these names. So 11 is Prodigy, 12 is Lil Kim, 13 is Ghostface, 14 is MF Doom, 15 is Big Pun, 16 is Jada Kidd, 17 is Cameron, 18 is Mos Def. I think that's a little high for Mos Def, but we can keep going. 19 is Big Daddy Kane, number 20 is Slick Rick, 21 is Method Man, 22 is Chuck D, 23 is Run, 24 is Q-Tip, and number 25 is Cardi B. Now, that's where I like again, you can probably mix and match those things, but a lot of those numbers ain't too disrespectful. I think Mos Def is he's a little bit high, man. I think we put him a little bit too high because yeah, he's done some stuff outside of rap. He's done things, like he does have a cultural impact, lyricist lounge. Like he's done a lot of different things, but like in terms of his music, I don't know a lot of people that really was checking for Mos Def. Um, but that's neither here nor there. It's that's not even the name that really have an issue with. It's Cardi B. So like to put Cardi B, so somebody, all right, she's been around now 8 years. She's dropped one album in 8 years. So 2017 is when Bodak Yellow dropped. So that's only a single. Her first album dropped 7 years ago. We have not got a second album from her. We also know that she does not write her rhymes. Like we know that other people write for her. Yeah, she's huge in terms of like kind of being a pop star, but like I'm not putting her as a top 50 rapper. Like she's not a top 50 New York rapper, man. Like, and especially like they didn't put A Boogie's nowhere on this list though, whatever. And again, you might be like, whoa, damn, she's done a lot more than A Boogie. Yeah, but like even just as a rapper, like No, she's not. No, she hasn't done like she's not a better rapper than somebody like that. So, but Cardi B at 25, knowing she's, a lot of people argue that she's an industry plant. Like putting her in the top 25 is, I think, it's disrespectful to from everybody from 26 up. You know what I mean? It's kind of disrespectful. Now we getting into some weird names. So 26 through 50, well, 26 through 35. Let's go through that. You got Raekwon. You got Pop Smoke at 27. 28 is Mace. I love that. 29 is Big L. I love that. Number 30 is Coogee Rap. I love that. Number 31, Fat Joe. People sleep on Fat Joe. A lot of people sleep on Fat Joe, man. So I don't have no issue with that. 32 is Fabulous. Now here, that's the thing. You got Cameron and Jada Kiss at 16 and 17, right? Big Pun, you got him at 15. You got Most Def at 18. You got so I feel like Fab fits in with Jada Kiss and Cameron. Like, I feel like they're all, you might argue some are better in terms of bars, but in terms of like overall impact, in terms of like the music that he's put out, even having a cultural impact past his time of like his prime, still having a cultural impact with mixtapes. Fab don't get no respect, man. And I think I ain't gonna lie. I think what hurts Fab, and people don't talk about this, but it was when he got in trouble, man. When he had a lot of like headlines about his relationship with Emily B, and like some of the fights that they've had. I don't want to get into none of that, but like I think that did definitely tarnish his name. It didn't feel like it felt like it did nothing because we didn't hear a lot of like active canceling of him, but like I think people slowly and low key kind of canceled and got him out of here. But like, I think Fabulous belongs in the top 20 somewhere, but that's just my opinion. 33 is Jizza. 34 is Foxy Brown. Number 35 is ODB. So you just knew that from 20 to 50, you was gonna get a lot of different Wu-Tang members, and definitely like five different people were named. Method Man, Raekwon, Ghostface. Did I get the Ghostface? Did I get the Ghostface? No, I didn't even say Ghost. Did I not say Ghostface Killer? Hmm. Oh, Ghostface was 13. Yeah, they put Ghostface pretty high. Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. I ain't mad at that, but like I don't think Ghostface better than Method Man for real, for real. But okay, so you knew he's gonna get a lot of guys from the Wu Tang. So number 36, this is one name that I'm not familiar with in terms of hearing his music. Cool Keith. Number 37 is Ja Rule. I mean, I'm glad he made the list. Maybe he belongs there. MC Light is 38. 39 is Nori. Number 40 is Cool Mo D. That's the old school rap. So that's what I'm saying. All right, if you put 41 is ASAP Rocky. So if you put ASAP Rocky on here, then A Boogie has to belongs on here. Like I mean, Sean Price, that's another one that I'm not familiar with. I kind of miss his era. I think he was more of an underground guy, but I miss the Sean Price era. 43 is Melly Mel. 44 is Grand Poobah. 45 is Jim Jones. Shout out to Jim Jones, man. Shout out to Capo. 46 is Styles P. I think Styles P, he's better than Jim Jones. So I don't like him at that position. Number 47 is Biz Markie. 48. 48, they put Diddy at 48. All right. Number 49 is Pharoah Monch. Pharoah Monch always gets love for like lyricism, things like that. And then number 50 is Ice Spice. Nah, nah. Ice Spice, get her out of here, man. Like I put a little take over Ice Spice, but if you're gonna put Ice Spice on there, I guess yeah, because the popularity. I think you're going off popularity, but like let's not act like they were gonna do a versus Nori versus Memphis Bleak. Like they got the same amount. Like Memphis Bleak probably got more hits than him. I mean, I know he's not recognized lyrically as somebody. We don't have there's no AZ on here, no Memphis Bleak. Um, I mean, I guess yeah, I feel like Remy has the same kind of career in terms of like what she's put out as like somebody as like a Foxy Brown. You know what I'm saying? Like, um, so I don't know. I'm taking some issue to that. Who else? Who else would be? I feel like A Boogie is being snubbed for real, for real. Pop Smoke is a little high to me. 27, that's high, man. That's high. And again, we don't know where he would have really ended up. But I guess in terms of New York rappers, you know what I mean, Red Cafe ain't making no list like this. Joe Budden, I guess, is from New Jersey, so I guess we don't count Joe Budden. See, honorable mentions. I'm putting Stack Bundles in here somewhere. Uh, I'm putting Hellrell or Jewels somewhere in here. We talking Dipset. Other than that, I think we cool. I'm trying to think of some other names just off the top, and like I don't wanna hurt myself thinking too hard. But I think that's a decent list. I think there just needs to be some rearrangement there. But I can see I feel like the top 10, it's not just like their ability, it's about like what they've done, like just as a whole in hip hop. You know what I'm saying? And like that's a Prodigy though. Yeah, definitely getting number 11. I think Havoc, maybe more as a producer, maybe Havoc goes as a producer, but yeah, I'm cool with it. I'm cool with it. I just feel like you just put Mob Deep. If you like recognize Havoc too and just put Mob Deep and then maybe you put Prodigy in parentheses. But yeah, so what do you think about that list, man? Who needs to go where? We're gonna make sure we put this on the screen as we going through it. But what do you think? What do you think? Who's missing? Like let's in the comment section list some names that are of people that are missing, and then do some rearrangement, man. Remake your own list if you want to in the comment section. Let me know. Let me know what you think there. So I like that though. I like that. Let's move on though. Let's move on. All right. Speaking of rappers. All right. Speaking of rappers, and this is a West Coast rapper, and maybe that's why he's saying some of this stuff because these West Coast dudes, man, they live by the beat of their own drum. You know what I'm saying? But okay, so this is this is what the game has to say. Again, West Coast rappers, man. So take that for what it is. Yeah, I mean, take it with a grain of salt. You know what I'm saying? I'm an East Coast boy myself. I'm from PA, but I'm East Coast boy. So this is I want to know what y'all think about what he got to say, and then we could break it down a little bit though. But so first, game says, fellas, stay single unless you're ready for the every 2 week bare minimum. And then he lists a bunch of different things. He lists 8 different things. And when he said 2 week bare minimum, he's talking about things that you're gonna have to pay for, things that you're gonna have to fund. So first off, who is the fellas that he's talking about? Because this is the thing. I like that. So I like social media because sometimes we get the candid thoughts of our celebrities. Sometimes we get the insights of what our celebrities are thinking, and I like that sometimes. But also celebrities in general, because we live in a social media like climate, celebrities tend to be the standard that we go by when celebrities should not be the standard that we go by. Like we can use them as an example sometimes, but that's not it can be an example, it could be an anomaly, right? It could be an exception to the rule, but no, we should not be. That's not the standard. That's not the standard. So when he says fellas, is he talking to other rappers? Is he talking to people that make a certain level of money? Because I don't know who he's talking about because this don't resonate with me. But he says, fellas, stay single unless you're ready for the every 2 week bare minimum. So he says, number one, so yeah, first thing is lashes, $200. Second thing is hair, $300. And this is every 2 weeks you paying this. Number three is nails for $250. That seems like a expensive set. Number four is toes for $200. How bad are her feet, bro? Like, why is her toes costing $200? You know what I'm saying? Number five is makeup for $200. See, I feel like that's actually kind of low for makeup. If the toes cost 200, why is the makeup costing 200? Number six, it says a little lunch money. So every 2 weeks, you're gonna have to give her $500 for lunch money. I guess that's what 250 a week. What? That's $25 a day. See what? See who said that $25 wasn't enough for lunch? Because that's yeah. If we talking about a 10-day work week, well, no, damn, that's $50 a day. Shit, damn, $50 a day. Nah, bruh. Nah. Number seven is drinks with homegirls. Why do I have to fund that? Why is he funding that? I mean, $500. And then it says number eight is a little aloe, Lulu, and Labubu. So I think that's like all like clothes, like Lululemon. And he says $1,000. So I did the math, and that comes out to every 2 weeks. That's $3,200 bi-weekly. So he says stay single unless you got $6,400 a month to fund these girls. And like, see, this is where I take exception to this because niggas like the game is fucking the game up, no pun intended, right? Niggas like this is fucking the game up, no pun intended. This is like again, this is the gift and the curse of social media because on one hand, right? On one hand, it's cool. It's like, oh snap, game is talking to us. Then the next thing it's like, no, wait up. You just low key somehow you kind of created a standard that like ain't nobody sign up for. Um, but yeah, I think this creates like just a wild expectation and like there's gonna be guys that like that there's gonna be women that strive to get this like celebrity treatment. And then there's gonna be guys out there that are not celebrities, but like that get a lot of money that want to be treated like the game. So like they're gonna just buy in and they're just gonna acquiesce and they're just gonna be the guys that are footing the bill for this $3,200 every 2 weeks. Um, and I just feel like, nah, bro, like this, nah, we ain't got no time for that. But again, fellas, who are you talking to, game? Please, I need you to verify that. Who is you talking to? Because I ain't gonna lie, this is way out of my tax bracket. And I don't know any woman, I wouldn't mess with any woman that was talking like this. You know what I'm saying? Like this is way above my means. But I don't yeah, I would not even feel comfortable. I wouldn't even, whether I was paying for it or not, I wouldn't even want to be with a woman that has this much upkeep and this expensive of upkeep. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like everything that he said could be a fraction of the cost. You know what I'm saying? I know, yeah, $300. I mean, maybe one time for a month. You know what I mean? Like a special occasion, but like every 2 weeks, nah, bro. You got me chopped the lashes. Nah, you put on fake lashes, then get some nice fake lashes. The nails and toes. This must be like a celebrity, pedicure, manicure place, you know what I'm saying? But little lunch money, yeah, $50 a day. You know what I mean? $50. Nah, that's drinks are the I'm lost at that part. It's like you know what I mean, and then the clothes, every 2 weeks you buying something from these places. That's too much, bro. Like that's mad. Like even like Lululemon, like leggings is probably 100 something dollars. That's I mean what 10 leggings. I mean she getting like 8 9 pair of leggings every 2 weeks. Nah, bro, I ain't with that, man. I ain't with that. So don't listen to the game, bro. Don't listen to the game. Yeah, I mean you get a girl that likes you for you. First off, like let's stop leading with our money, right? Let's stop leading with our money and start leading with our minds, our hearts, and then listening to our guts, you know what I mean, about these people. And then we can move accordingly, man. But don't nah, she start asking you for all these different things. That's a red flag, my dude, and you need to get out of there. So what you think, man? What you think about that list, man? I think he tripping. That's what I think. But yeah, let's move on, man. Move on. Leave a comment below, man. What you think about the games list? And do you have the budget and the it said not include matter of fact, I didn't even see this. On the bottom it says not including little rent, pet, car note, and bill help too. Man, get out of my face, game. Yeah, you buy your women, bro, and I don't respect it, bro. And I get it. I get you a rapper, but like he don't even have to do this. Like he's doing it, but like that's why I'm saying it's creating a wild standard and yeah, it's a wild standard and wild expectation because he does not have to do that if he didn't want to do that. He wants to do that. And that yeah, I mean, a guy like that gives him power over women, that gives him like some clout, whatever. But then if he got more than one girl, you know what I'm saying? Because we know if he got more than one girl, is he splitting that in half or is he, doubling up his expenses? But that seemed like an easy way to go broke though. You know what I'm saying? But let's move on, man. Let's move on. I think he tripping. Um Let's move on, man. Another rapper we're gonna talk about real quick, and this I don't know. Did y'all see the exchange between Wale and Kai Cenat? So it was the other week at the BET Awards, right? And Kai Cenat, I guess he runs into Wale in the park. It looked like the parking garage, like it's like a whole video, you know. And he sees him in the parking garage, and then I guess he sees Wale playing something, and then Wale says, "Oh, I'm playing Smash Bros." And then Kai Cenat, because he's just so charismatic. I do like Kai Cenat, man. And he like, yo, I'll beat you, yo, whatever. And then he gets on his phone because he has his, I guess he has his Twitch stream, or I don't know if he's on Spaces, like, or whatever, but like he has some way to see his stream and the chat. And he's like, "Oh, yo, the chat is going crazy for who that was." He was like, "Wale," and they spell it. They say Wale, so he's like, "Wale, like who that though? What he do?" And then they tell him that that Wale's a rapper, and it does get cut off. But I think I heard one of his friends or somebody appear say like, "Oh, you know the song Lotus Flower Bomb," and then he was like, "Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, I mean I heard a dude, whatever. Like I know who do this, whatever." And then so that's it, innocent, right? Like he didn't necessarily know who he was, and whatever. So then there's another video where Wale is like they're at the BT Awards still, and Wale goes up to where he's sitting and was like, he daps him up and was like, "Yo, yo, yo, you got me looking crazy, yo." On that little exchange that we had, yo, you got me looking crazy. He's like, they running with it. He's like, they running with it, but like, yeah, we could talk. We could talk. So then he was like, "Oh, my bad." I mean, he daps him up. He don't know what's going on, whatever. But then it became this big old thing about like, oh my God, like Kai Cenat didn't know who Wale was. And then just even on Wale's part, where he was feeling some type of way because Kai Cenat didn't know who he was. And it might not even be because he didn't know who he was, but like it was what Wale said to him. He said, "You got me looking crazy." Like, and it's like, how does he have you looking crazy? Like he genuinely he may not have known who you were. You know what I'm saying? And then people were kind of starting to dig into it. So they looked at like when Kai Cenat was born. So let's see. Kai Cenat was born because he was like really young when Wale dropped his first project. So Kai Cenat birthday. So Kai Cenat was born in 2001. Attention Deficit came out in like 2009. So he was like 8 years old, or not, maybe not even 8 years old at the time. He probably was like, because he don't turn, yeah, his birthday not until December. So he might have been 7 when it came out. So then people were like, "Well, I knew artists. I knew all these artists, and I knew older school artists when I was 7 or 8 or 9. You know, I knew artists too." But that's not the point because one, it's a different day and age. So Kai has grown up in the streaming era. Kai has also grown up where like you don't have to necessarily watch music videos to hear new music. And so like somebody played when he was showing his stream, like, and they played he looked them up because he felt bad. He felt bad. And he looked them up and he's like, "Oh, yo, this is a banger." And it was Lotus Flower Bomb. He's like, "I know the song," but like I can see him not necessarily knowing the artist because like there's songs that I used to sing when I was a kid, or there's songs that I hear today that I was like, yo, I never knew that this was the artist, and I'm 37. You know what I'm saying? So there's artists that I'm still discovering. So like to be mad at him at age like what 23 years old, um, what 24? Yeah, he'll be 24 years old this year, to be mad at him for not knowing him or not recognizing him. I can't. I'm not mad at him. But also too, like let's think about it. So Wale, his last project, his last album that he dropped was in 2021. So it's been 4 years since he dropped the album at all, right? And that was Forlorn 2. But prior to that, his last one that hit top 10 that like did anything like of note was Wow, That's Crazy. And that was in 2019. So again, Kai is still a young boy, I mean a teenager, but like Wale was not at the forefront. Wale was not like when we talk about, because a lot of people know Wale from like sneaker culture and stuff like that. He wouldn't have been able to like he wouldn't have had the recognition to know that. And like Wale has not been relevant and prevalent in rap music in a long time. So like, if he don't know who Wale is, it's some of it. It might be the industry, right? It might be record labels, but it's some of it is Wale too, because there's a lot of rappers that learn how to pivot and like get involved and be involved in other aspects of entertainment. Now we know Wale's had kind of had a fall from grace. um he's had some issues in the industry when it comes to perception and things like that. He's felt that he's got snubbed for certain awards. He talked about on Joe Budden podcast recently, like he said, yo, this stuff give you PTSD. And basically he had won an award, and like he was given an award, but they said when they announced the award, they said Kendrick Lamar's name, and this was like probably like 2015. So they said Kendrick Lamar's name, but then they gave him his award, and then they apologized to him, but they didn't acknowledge it on the show. It was like an NAACP award, Sochian award. They didn't acknowledge on the show that they made a mistake, and so like he just feeling like, damn, like I earned this award, but like I'm not even being recognized for this award. Like, so don't nobody know that I even have this, I mean, other than me. And it's like in the music industry, it does matter like who sees what awards you get, and like the recognition, like all that stuff matters. Like that's they live for that type of stuff. So I can see, him being a little bit bitter, but like in terms of his interaction with Kai specifically, I don't think Kai meant any harm. I don't think he was trying to play him. I don't think he was trying to make him look funny. I just think that he was a little bit too young. And Wale also was not necessarily in the forefront of music for a very long. Even when he dropped that 2019 album, he was fighting to get back, because his album in 2017 is what started his decline. 15 album about nothing came out, and that was an amazing album. He probably should have got some accolades for that, but that was the same year that To Pimp a Butterfly came out, right? So he's competing against like the ultimate black album, you know what I'm saying? Poetry, spoken word, all that. And versus his Seinfeld album, you know what I mean, which was absolutely dope, but it was like, you know what I mean, Big Sean even dropped a banging project that year. So it was a lot of music out that year. And then when 2017 rolls around, that was a flop. He dropped this album called Shine that went nowhere. He had a bad first single. It didn't go anywhere. And then that was like his decline. And then so 2019, he's clawing his way back, but he still wasn't like at the forefront. Like he still wasn't. It wasn't like if Drake drops or Kendrick drops. Even at that time, when if Big Sean, like it wasn't like if J. Cole dropped it. Like he didn't have that impact no more. Even though like he was a part of like a collective of rappers that we felt like in 2013, we felt like it was gonna be Drake, it was gonna be J. Cole, Kendrick, Meek Mill, Big Sean, or Wale. Like we felt it was gonna be those six guys for the rest of our adulthood, so to speak. You know what I mean? And one by one, after that control verse, one by one, man, like these guys started falling off, man. So I don't know, maybe Kendrick is the boogeyman. But like, what do you think about that, man? What do you think about that whole thing with Kai Cenat? And was Wale tripping a little bit, or is it justified? And should Kai know who he is? Leave a comment below. Let me know what you think. Damn, I really jam packed this episode here. Damn. Because I'm looking, I'm like, I got other stuff, and I'm gonna go quick on some of these other topics. All right. So let me see this on Instagram. Let me see if it's still up. Okay. So here it says Glorilla. We're gonna talk about another rapper. So Glorilla says agrees with a post saying she's always gonna text other men even if she's in a good relationship. Y'all agree? And all she said was for real, for real. But the message was, I don't care how good my relationship is, I'ma still text some niggas. You know what I mean? And then she said for real, for real. Now, yeah, I mean, I like Glow. I like Glow. I think she's young. I think she's very young, and I don't think she know no better. But I also think she kind of got this like stunted development a little bit, like an arrested development, because we all know what she looked like prior to her having a lot of work done, before having them teeth done. I think she just got a nose. You know what I mean? She just got a little bit of a nose. And so I don't think she's not she's not used to getting the most attention up until her career has started. And then she's probably, yeah, she probably had some bad experiences with some dudes and that made her feel like she's on edge. And so she always got to keep somebody in the tuck. But like, I don't look at Glorilla to be the role model for young girls, but I think girls do. I think we, like I said, we live in that celebrity culture, so like people chime in when the celebrities say something, and it's something that like even if it speaks to the worst of our nature, if a celebrity says it, like everybody gonna be like, yeah, I mean, what this person said it, so like, how could it be bad? Or like, look at where they're at in their life, and it's like we're not even talking about the same thing. Like, there's no correlation to that. But like, yeah, man, she's definitely a woman that seems to like really, really like validation and attention. And I think it might come from her not necessarily getting it when before she was famous. And so she's living her best life. And I think she's kind of carrying over maybe some wounds there, some old relationship wounds. But like that's definitely, I mean, and that's the thing. We're not talking about because I seen some comments. Um, it said if you put it says Raquel the celebrity. I don't know who that is. It says if y'all put all your eggs in one basket, you'll literally be disappointed every time. Nobody is literally only talking to one person. Y'all delusional for real, for real. So here's the thing. Yes, if we talking about just dating and talking to people, you're right. People probably aren't talking to just one person, but this person says, I don't care how good my relationship is. I'm still gonna do this. So like that means you're committed. That means you have some exclusivity, but you're still saying like, I don't care. This guy does everything I want him to do. This guy is the man of my dreams. But like, let me text Pookie a little bit. Let me text him a little bit. Let me see like, and just kind of setting it up for like, oh, when he fucks up, I'm just gonna slide over. That's bad news. That is how some women move, but it's definitely not something I recommend. So like, you know, chalk it up to like just I think it's one of those things where I'm not going to downplay her, but it's just like watch out for women like that, y'all. You know what I mean? But like I'm gonna let Glorilla do her thing. But cause it ain't got nothing to do with me for real, for real. I'm not in her range or in her purview. She ain't checking for me anyway. But again, that mentality does exist and you do gotta watch out though. All right. What's the next topic? Let's next topic. Leave a comment below, man. Do you agree? Do you agree? Is she talking or is she being reckless there? All right. Next topic. Next topic. This is a quick one too, but like it's kind of crazy. Um, so we're talking about your likeness and how you don't own your likeness. You don't own your likeness. You don't, whether you like it or not. So Robin Thicke, remember, he got sued, several years ago for blurred lines. It was what Marvin Gaye? The Marvin Gaye estate. I mean, like he got sued basically, and for mad bread and like it pretty much derailed his career in terms of being a musician. Like he stopped making music after this. But it says Robin Thicke is sued for posting paparazzi pics of himself on Instagram without paying. So it says Robin Thicke finds himself back in court, and this time it's not over a song, but some Instagram flicks. The Blurred Lines singer is being sued by a celebrity photo agency called Backgrid USA Inc. for allegedly posting two paparazzi shots of himself on Instagram back in 2022 without paying for the rights. The lawsuit was filed on Monday, June 16th, in federal court, and it claims Thicke used copyrighted images without a license. It says one pic shows Thicke riding a convertible, while the other features him leaving Catch Steak with his now wife April Love Geary. The photos have been since scrubbed from his IG, but Backgrib attached screenshots of the deleted posts to the lawsuit. It says, according to court docs, um, it says, according to court docs, Becker says Thicke's actions caused widespread unauthorized sharing and damaged the agency's business. They also pointed out that Thicke isn't new to this. He has over 100 copyrights registered himself and went through a huge copyright battle over blurred lines just a few years ago. So in their eyes, he should have known better. So yeah, in one instance, like he probably did know better, but at the same time, he probably was trying to buck the system a little bit. It probably was a fuck you to them. But yeah, they trying to get money, but it's just crazy. So copyrighted images of you. So again, people say this a lot of times. People be like, "Yo, it don't matter," because one paparazzi, one they're already invading his privacy, and a lot of times people have this notion that like, and we'll see where this goes because I don't know where this is gonna go. But a lot of people have this notion of like, "Yo, I didn't give you permission to take my photo, so you can't take my photo." Well, this, at least this, and again, there might be some more details that we need to learn, but this is showing that like there is no such thing as privacy. Anybody could take a picture of you, and then that is a rule though. I've heard that like with photographers, they do own the images, but like this seems like a little bit of a reach here because it's like you probably took these photos of me without my permission. You know what I'm saying? And then yeah, I'm gonna post it. But then it's like, oh, you cost us business. Now here's the thing. I'm not saying that ain't nobody checking for Robin Thicke, but like how much money did Robin Thicke cost you? Because nobody knows where he's at. I don't even know that the name of that woman that he's supposed to be married to. Like I don't know anything about this guy. So like how much money could he have possibly cost them? Now, yes, they couldn't run their smear campaign and do all the tabloids around his face like they probably wanted to, but like how much money did he really affect? I mean, like, let that man have his photos. I hope that Robin Thicke wins, but I feel like the fact that yes, he does. He just lost a copyright lawsuit before, and they're saying he should have known better. Like that's the claim. I think there might be some judges that be like, yeah, come on, Robin. But hopefully he's not penalized too much because I think it's reckless. But just know people again and this is another thing too, the photos that exist of you online. So like yeah, you might go to a party and there's a photographer there and he's posting pictures of you, posting pictures of the scene, and then you want to, you know what I mean, like yo, be careful, like don't just take them pictures off somebody's page because they might not be yours to actually use, and you might be messing up some business. So just understand your likeness, you do not own your likeness in many situations. In many situations, you do not own your likeness. I even heard something about like with fingerprints. Like if a cop tells you to like, they said take. I seen this thing where it was like, take like face ID, take it off. Like if you ever get in trouble, whatever, like take it off your phone. And it was basically saying that like cops don't need a warrant for that. Like if you just had a lock on your phone, like a number password lock, they need a warrant for you to give them that. But like if you use your fingerprint or face ID to open up, they don't need a warrant for your likeness. So again, you do not own your likeness. Like that might be the name of this episode. But be careful, y'all. Be careful because yeah, yeah, you might get sued for your own pictures one day. That's reckless, but that's crazy. All right. All right. Okay. This is all right. This is the last major topic before we get into sports. And then, yeah, this is the last major topic before we get into sports. So, real quick, this is the only video that I have to share. I did have a couple other topics, but we can actually show some of those. But I wanted to share something with y'all as it pertains to Diddy in the trial. So, again, I said that he's about to start testifying, or he's not going to testify, but it's the defense's turn. Oh, so it's the defense's turn, and we're gonna see what this is about here. So let's take a look here real quick. All right, here we go. So it says, you remember when Diddy? So it says why Diddy was shaking his head during Cassie's testimony.
He started shaking his head last week during Cassie's testimony, and it wasn't when she was talking about the super embarrassing things. It was when she was talking about his aliases of Frank Black and Frank White. So she put those names on the record as names that Diddy used. It seemed weird to me that he would get upset about that, but I thought maybe he's just a narcissist, and now people are going to realize who he was and what he was doing this whole time. But no, y'all, it goes way deeper than that. They released the photos of the evidence from the hotel room that he was staying in when they arrested him, and in the evidence was a prescription bottle for clonazepam, which is a Schedule 4 narcotic. It's kind of like Xanax, but not as strong. And it was written to who? Frank Black. And y'all get this, the address on the label was for Lifespan Medicine in Santa Monica, California. Lifespan Medicine is a concierge doctor kind of thing, so you have someone 24/7 you can call for anything you need, which seems something very much like he would have, right? So I'm assuming, this is just my opinion, that a doctor at Lifespan Medicine wrote this prescription for Diddy, but put it in the name of Frank Black, which is highly illegal. You can't write narcotics to someone in someone else's name, and you definitely can't put your address down as theirs. If the jury believes that Diddy used aliases to get drugs and to cover his track, it plays right into the racketeering charges. So when Cassie casually dropped those names last week, she didn't just out him. She gave the prosecution the string they needed to unravel this whole thing. Diddy shaking his
So that's deep right there. So man, shout out to Instagram and like just internet detectives, man, because paying the close attention. So like, yeah, it may, she said something. He uses the name Frank White. That's, I mean, that's reference to King of New York, like the movie, but also Biggie used to use that alias Frank White. So Frank Black, I guess that's just like an alternative name to use for it. But yeah, that's pretty interesting though, man. Like, wow, they were able to track that down. So not only so letting them know about the aliases, but then they were able to find the pill bottle with it named to Frank Black, and then they traced the address and found it was a concierge doctor, like for the rich people. Like you ever, what's that? There's a show. There used to be a show on USA called I think Royal Pain, and that's what he was. He was like a concierge doctor where he would just go to like rich people, wealthy people's houses because it's like they didn't want stuff on the record, so they would go to him. But like then they were used, so they used not only they used his alias, you know what I mean, to write him a prescription, but then they used their own address as his address. So basically just trying to hide this at all, period. And yeah, because it is illegal because like like when you are prescribing drugs, you need a DEA license. So like, and I'm sure they probably have like some type of log. So like you're logging these drugs to like somebody that doesn't exist, quote unquote. So that's pretty crazy. So like why, like now, granted, like this is, how much do they have to dig to find stuff? But like, how many times has because everybody's saying like, oh, yo, Cassie did the calls and she did it. Like they're for whatever reason we putting a lot of like onus on her when we think about it, common sense is like you don't think that a guy like Diddy, you don't think that he would have a woman or somebody else doing like the transaction, so to speak. Like you don't think that they would do that. Like why would he want all the attention on him? Like he has the highest profile of names. So it's like why wouldn't he have somebody else do it? You know what I mean? Like just her doing something is not proof of anything for that matter. But I don't know. That's interesting, man. But like, maybe we'll hear about that though. We'll hear about those aliases, Frank White and Frank Black, later on in this trial as it keeps progressing. All right. Thank you for keeping up with all the viral stuff. Leave a comment below, man, if you think there's something to that Diddy stuff. You know what I mean, if we're gonna uncover anything, or if you've heard of anything, let us know, man, so we can look it up and we can cover it later on. So all right, let's move on. So let's talk about the NBA Finals, and I think we're gonna wrap it up. I think we might talk about this trade real quick. I think we won't talk about Jair Alexander this week, but we'll talk about this trade, talk about the NBA Finals, and then we're gonna wrap it up. So there was a trade. So yeah, we're in the world of transactions right now. There's about to be, I mean, the trading is about to really be rampant in the next few weeks, right when the start of the season goes. And I think there's like a memorandum for like trades and stuff like that. That's one of the best times in the NBA for the summertime. The NBA draft is gonna be next week. Yeah, so it's a week from Wednesday, next Wednesday. And yeah, so everybody's anticipating that. But yeah, there has been a trade, right? And like at first I was like, oh, it's not that bad. Like, okay, this guy's going to a new team, but then I was like, oh, this is what you traded for. So the Grizzlies, man, they had a pretty decent season. With Ja coming back, they definitely underachieved in the playoffs. Got knocked out first round. So we know that they got John Morant, who's a stud. We know that they have another baller in JJJ. You know what I'm saying? Jaren Jackson Jr. Um, but and then we knew they had Bane. Bane was like he kind of came out of nowhere, and he was a part of that team when they had Dylan Brooks and Steven Adams, and he was just like a solid part of that core, and it looked like yo that team is gonna be something. Well, they got rid of Dylan Brooks, so they got rid of that toughness, and then Desmond Bane, and then Jaren Jackson kind of developed, and then you got John Morant. Well, yeah, I mean, they figured like, nah, we gotta cut the cord on him, man, and we're gonna send him off. But I would have made this trade too because all right, so they got KCP, Kentavious Caldwell Pope, which he's just a solid two guard. He's a solid player. He's not a bad player, but he's not great. You know what I mean? Solid player. Well, he has two rings. I think KCP has two rings now. So he goes to the Mavericks for KCP and I think Norris Cole. But then they gave up four first round picks. Four first round picks. And then when you look at the article, it's talking about, yeah, he's going to be a great third option there. You know what I mean? Like they felt like they needed to get a third option. And it's like, wait up. So yeah, you got Paulo, you got Wagner. You know what I'm saying? I guess they got some other pieces on that team. But you traded four first round picks for somebody that you're already calling your third option. Like that don't even make no sense. I mean, and that's why I don't understand the NBA, man. I don't understand what teams be doing. I don't understand what the front offices be on, the GMs be on. But they be it's like they be playing around. It's like they playing Madden or 2K and then they turn off like, you could turn off like whether like they accept the trades or not. Yeah, I mean deny the trade. Like you could turn that shit off. Like you could turn the AI off. And that's what it seems like they be doing sometimes in the NBA. And it's like, bro, if you try to make that trade on the game, it wouldn't even like that's how bad the trade is. They wouldn't even let you do it. So we're gonna see, man. New look Grizzlies. We gotta see what they're gonna do coming up. There's a lot of names being talked about being possible trade targets. Kevin Durant is somebody that's they keep talking about is gonna get moved. People used to talk about Giannis being moved, but I think he's staying put. I've even heard, unfortunately, I heard a rumor that like, yo, maybe the Celtics are shopping Jalen Brown. I don't think they should do that at all. He's on a max contract right now, like in the middle, like he has like 4 years left on the max contract. They're not gonna have Tatum this coming year, like just based off of the way that you recover from that injury. He's probably gonna miss the whole next season. So like, I don't know, man. I think you definitely need Jalen Brown like to solidify that team, and they have some other targets, but we'll see how that goes. But like, yes, let's get into where we're at, man. So game five was just the other night, right? And OKC wins. OKC won game five, and this was by far their best performance. Now, game two, they won by a larger margin. I think they won, what did they win by like 15 or something like that? Like they won by a slightly larger margin. People will give them like a lot of credit and kudos for winning game four because the way they had to come back in game four. But like after game four, going into game five, I was like, yo, I don't even know how OKC won, and a lot of people are calling that the Scott Foster game. You know what I mean? And they're saying that Scott Foster aided the Thunder in winning that game because the Thunder was going to the foul line at a ridiculous rate. They was calling things for Shea that they haven't called all series. But the Thunder kind of called their way back, but like it was an ugly win because they really stole that from Indiana. It really looked like it was about to be 3-1 OKC, and the Pacers folded like the Thunder folded in game one. So we're looking at it, and it's not looking too good. But what I looked at when I seen the Thunder, I just said like they won that game, but they weren't impressive in game four. And I said, yo, they have zero perimeter shooting. Like they went three for like 17 in game four. and they nobody could hit the broadside of a barn. Like Chet Holmgren missing wide open threes. Shea hit one three, and he needed that three, but he's not even really taking threes. Jalen Williams don't really take threes. Caruso wasn't really making nothing in game four. So I was like, yo, if I was like, I know I criticize teams when they shoot too much, but like when you don't have that in your arsenal, you don't have that in your bag, that might be even worse than shooting it too much. You know what I'm saying? Because yeah, you're seeing it like it's just a part of the game. Like you gotta have some level of perimeter shooting. You can't just rely on twos because it takes me three buckets to match your two buckets. I mean, if you hit two threes, I gotta make I gotta make three layups to make up your two threes. And so yeah, it ends up being like almost like a point and a half difference like at every possession. You know what I'm saying? Whatever. So it's just not in your best interest to like to just only go for twos. You got to have that. You ain't always gonna earn three the hard way. You know what I mean? So going in game five, I'm like, yo, OKC don't shoot the ball well. Is I don't know, man. The Pacers are scrappy. They gonna keep fighting this, and they're not gonna make it easy for them. Well, the OKC had their best game. Shea and Jalen Williams combined for 71 points. Jalen Williams had 40. And I mean, and he was like he could have had he could have had like he could have had like 44, 43 points. Because he missed a free throw and then he missed like a three that he was on fire. But like so they got some 3-point shooting from Jalen Williams. Jalen Williams went 3 for 4 from beyond the arc. I think he only missed one free throw, but he had 40 points. Shea had 31, but it was like a sneaky quiet 31. Another thing was in game four, OKC stopped passing the ball. They might have had like 11 assists as a team the whole game. Well, Shea had 8 assists himself in game five. So Shea was passing the ball. He was making stops. He was blocking shots. He was getting steals, and then obviously contributing on the offensive end. Jalen Williams was dunking on everybody. He was getting boards, and then OKC also had firepower off the bench. Kaysen Wallace and Andrew Wiggins both hit at least three threes apiece. I mean, I think Andrew Wiggins might have had a fourth, but they at one point in time they both had three pointers. I think Isaiah Joe even hit a 3 pointer. I think Caruso hit a 3 pointer. So like they actually got the 3 point shot going. And Halliburton, man, let's talk about Halliburton. Halliburton had his worst game of the playoffs. Halliburton went 0 for 6. I think he ended up with 4 points. All those points came from the free throw line. He did get hurt in the game and he fell. Like he was driving and it looked like I don't know if his leg gave out on him or if he got hit on the way up, but he fell on it and then he went to the locker room. He returned, but then was a shell of himself. Like he was not that aggressive. He couldn't hit any shots. And then in reserve was TJ McConnell, and TJ McConnell had another amazing game. Yo, they gotta stop. TJ McConnell had like 18 points. TJ McConnell was cooking them. That little white boy is nice, bro. Like stop sleeping on him, man. So I don't know. I think yeah. I'm trying to think of their lineup. What's best to have? Because like Miles Turner started hitting shots. Because even though he wasn't hitting shots like most of the series, Obi Toppin wasn't doing that great in game five, but he did great in game four. I think that's what I think that's the problem sometimes though. When you have too much depth and you have too many people that could make an impact, sometimes you have that's a problem of abundance because now you don't even know who to go to. Like just same thing. You ever play fantasy football? And you got a team full of like stud wide receivers, but you can only start three, but you got like five wide receivers that can go any week, and like it becomes a problem for you because you don't know who to start. You know what I mean? And then like because they all look like viable options, and then the ones that you don't start end up having the great games. Well, that's kind of what happened to the Pacers. It's like, yeah, you got this guy, TJ McConnell probably not shouldn't be a starter, but like he was the hot hand and he was killing. So it's like keep him in the game. You got Obi Toppin who's outperformed Miles Turner this whole series, and it's like, do we just put Obi in? And then you put Obi in, but Obi's not producing, but then Miles Turner is. You know what I'm saying? Um, does it make sense to have Halliburton and TJ McConnell? Well, then if you have those two on the floor, then does Nemhard sit the bench? Do you move Neesmith to the three? Like what happens then? You know what I mean? Or do you keep Neesmith at the three? Like it's all these decisions that these teams got to make, and because they have a lot of guys that are like sneaky good, but that might be the issue. They might have a little bit too much depth, and they don't know which direction to go. In game six, they're fighting for their lives, which a lot of times that can bring out the best in the team, but it also can bring out the worst because you're gonna get a lot of instances if their shots are not falling when they're sharing the ball. You're gonna get a lot of guys that's gonna start playing some hero ball and trying to make it out. If OKC play again, this is kind of how OKC played in game one, how they started game one. They played really well in game two. Game three, they didn't. I mean, they lost that game. Clear that they lost. Game four, they had to come back. Game five, best game of the series. If they play half decent basketball, they can get these guys out of here, and we can make my prediction right. Which I'm hoping my prediction right. OKC in six, but we'll see, man. What do you think? What do you think? Do you think that OKC is going to end it on? Do you think they're going to end it in game six? By the time this episode comes out, I think game six will just start. Like I think we're gonna get it out right before game six starts. So you won't see us until the next time, and hopefully OKC is the champion, and hopefully we don't go to a 7 game series. But I'm rooting for them. If they do win game six, that means that they beat Indiana 3 games in a row, and it just seemed like something that was impossible because coming into this game the Pacers in the playoffs have not lost. They did not lose 2 in a row this whole playoff. So it's interesting, man. What do you think? What do you think? Who you got in the NBA Finals? Do you think that they can? Do you think OKC got it, or do you think it's gonna? You think that in Indiana with that raucous crowd, do you think that they're gonna steal another one and force a game seven? If they force a game seven, then it's anybody's game. But like the momentum definitely is in OKC's favor, and they just gotta if they just tap into what they did in game five, they gonna blow this team out. You know what I'm saying, and get them off their back, and then we're gonna get the improbable champs, OKC Thunder. But we'll see. We'll see. What do you think about this week's episode, man? We had a lot of different things. I had a couple other things I just had to shelve and we couldn't talk about, but we'll get to that next week because I already got a little bit of an outline for next week as well. If you're new to the channel and if you're still watching, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, leave a comment below on any of the topics that we talked about because there's a lot to digest here. If you know anybody that's into basketball, that's keeping up with the Diddy case, that likes hip hop, especially New York rappers, anything. If you know anybody that's interested in any of the content that we got going on, please share the platform. But yeah, man, I'm happy to be with y'all for another episode, man. Summertime, I love it. This is episode 197 of the 280 Plus podcast. I'm your host, us.Def, and I'm out, y'all. Peace.